All right, so when examining an individual kidney, you'll notice that this is not that very large of a model, but otherwise this is what your kidney would look like if you were to create a sagittal section, meaning that you slice it and then you can see the inside, and this is what you would see. And so what you can expect is that when you look out in this is a filtering unit. That is the role of the kidney. Lets blood in through the renal artery, and then you can see all these arteries begin to segment, break apart, and then the goal is to arrive to this little structure or these little segments here, out here in the cortex, in order to filter it. And collects urine through this, filters it, and then finally we'll send that urine all the way down to the urinary bladder. And they're all doing that, filtering the bloodstream here at the very top, letting the urine sort of collect and pool, and then it's collecting into this space, finally into the ureter, and then goes down to the urinary bladder. And so some structures associated with the kidney is that if you examine just this outside area, you'll notice that there are no pyramids. These are called renal pyramids. And so all you can see that all the renal pyramids lie on the inside. So this outer region is called the cortex of the kidney. And so whenever you're talking about the kidney, you are talking, when you say cortex, you're referring to the outer edges here that we're seeing here. When we say medulla, medulla is going to be everything that's where the pyramids are actually located. All of this segment, the whole entire thing, if I can draw on this, I wish I could, but I can't, is here. This would all be medulla. It means the inside. And then so you'll see at the very ends here, right? These are all pooling, they're all letting blood travel through here. There's this tiny little apparatus called the nephron that filters and creates urine, sends it down here, and you can see they all pool here. So some terms here is that this could be a collecting duct, will eventually give rise to the renal papilla, which is just the portion here where urine is pooling. Then you have your minor calyx, which is going to be just this space. You'll notice all of them have a minor calyx. And then when they collect together, like this one and this one and this one, they all collect together here. This is our major calyx. So it's sort of where the trunk is, before it starts branching off. And then it starts pooling urine into this space, which is called the renal pelvis. And then urine will be pulled into, again, this muscular tube called the ureter. And the space in between here is called renal columns. And so we attribute a function to these portions here, out here in the cortex. This is where the filtrate is formed, or urine will be selected as urine. And then it's going to undergo a process of selection. As it goes through these tubes, it'll decide, all right, then you still need some of this water. So it'll reabsorb it back into the blood vessels, and it won't actually go into the urine. So this tube here, this little apparatus, the nephron, has a dual role in that it causes the filtrate, right, what will be urine, but it also can reabsorb anything you might need back into circulation from this tube here. And that's really it for this model. If we examine now if we zoom in on that very thing, we're zooming in now on the kidney all the way at the very top. We're going to take a close look at what that little apparatus is. And so that's what this is. Here, let me get this table out of the way. So that's what you're seeing here, sort of blown up for you on this model. And so on this model, we have our nephron. As blood circulates, it goes, circulates inside, and then your blood, this apparatus, the nephron, decides, all right, this is waste. I don't need this anymore. And its overall goal is to put it into the tube network that it has. And it has 3 branches of tubes. The first one is going to be the proximal convoluted tubule. That's going to be this segment here that goes all the way up through here, all the way up, and then finally it ends right here. Right here, that's the end of the proximal convoluted tubule. And then you'll see that now we get a loop, and that's typically how I know it's going to be the end of one segment and the beginning of another. And so here we can see we have our descending limb, and all of this together, this little loop is called a nephron loop. This is the descending limb, and then this one, as it goes up, ascending limb after it's circled all the way around, right? And then we go here to our distal convoluted tubule. This is going to be the next part of it. This is going to be the last component of this tube network. And you can see that eventually everything that led to this space will be urine. And then this is all going to go down the renal pyramids and then eventually be collected in those calyxes and then go all the way to the bladder. And so one thing to learn, another thing, is that you'll notice that there are two blood vessels, one that goes into it and one that goes out. So the one that goes in is going to be called afferent with an AF. Afferent arterial. And then that means that it's going in, and then everything's being filtered and checked. And then if it's okay, like it's something that your body wants to keep, it's going to process it and then go to the next one, which is going to be the one up here, which is going to be your efferent arterial. And then you'll notice also that there's a capillary network surrounding this tube, like all of these blood vessels surrounding this white tube here. And so these are referred to as capillaries or peritubular capillaries. If you pay attention to the name, this is all tubes network. So when we say peritubular, it's like saying around the tubes. And so this is what I mean by absorption, is that as blood goes in, it's being filtered, and if it's okay to stay in the body, it just continues forward, and then eventually returns to the veins, and then comes out of the kidneys. But sometimes things do get like filtered in as filtrate into this tubule, and this tubule isn't just a straw, like it's a actual living straw that it has the ability to reabsorb substances back into those capillaries. So like let's say that you're a little dehydrated, right? And then we're traveling through here, and then all of a sudden it decides, hey, my person is dehydrated. I'm gonna pull in some of this water. And then so water will be secreted from the tube and go out into the capillaries and then returned into circulation so you don't lose that precious water. And so that's really it for this model. It's gonna be a very large one. Don't forget, remember your little kidney.